Vor langer Zeit lebten die Menschen glücklich und zufrieden.
What are the things that Richter Belmont loves most?
Saving his fiancée, breaking into Dracula's castle to spew monotone nonsense, reviving 200 years in the future to attack an 18-year-old with daddy issues. What is he doing in all three of these cases? Moving left. What if I were to take that away? Take away his ability to do what he loved most? Would it be possible to beat Castlevania, Rondo of Blood, without pressing left? Here are our curses. No pressing left. No glitches. And no cheats. Stage 1 is largely linear. Enemies tend to start off in front of me. Apart from a few mishaps, there's nothing crazy of note in this area. I learned pretty early on that you can use stairs to turn your character around. I wonder if I can open the secret passage to the top left here. No, you can't fall off the steps any higher than I am shown here, and whips are too slow to break the top block anyway as you fall down. So yeah, no you can't. I beat some irrelevance and make my way to the first area's boss. The method to beat this boss is pretty straightforward. Stay as far away from the boss when he stands still, and go in underneath him when he starts moving. Don't get hit. He goes down pretty quickly, and we get to move on to the next stage. The entrance hall is how it usually is, except now there's a giant behemoth chasing you. There's also a small child being held captive. Saving this child, Maria Renard, will unlock her as an alternative playable character, with her own personal moveset and abilities. This will be useful in the future, but for now, we are on to our second boss. The werewolf is aggravating, but his low health bar allows me to kill him with only 1 or 2 attempts. You can tell from the start that stage 3 is gonna suck. Spear guards, my best friends. This man decided to be in the worst place possible. I tried killing him with my daggers, and that obviously didn't work, so I decided to just damage boost through him. I damage boost once again through the second spear guard, and I used the stairs to get a much needed health item for the trek ahead. Next thing I know, I'm mad flipping through this hallway of degenerate skeletons. Swing. I very surprisingly make it through. Almost, but it doesn't really matter. I can't make it through this door to the left no matter what I try. Rondo of Blood has multiple paths, so I decided to try another way. And then I encountered a problem that I did not foresee. He's in the stage select. Why isn't he moving? Why doesn't he just press... Oh, well isn't that just... Well, we start a new game and we carry on. I go through the entire game again up until stage 2, which had the only alternative route that I could actually access. After killing the wyvern for the second time, I save Maria again and then kill myself to restart the stage. Before doing so though, I learned something interesting concerning doors. I wanted to see if I could get behind the behemoth, cause, you know, that's cool. But I failed miserably and got hit into the door. Without pushing right, I had entered the door. You didn't have to press forward to enter a door, you only had to face it, meaning I could probably just damage boost my way to make it through a door facing left. I fall down a hole to make it to the secret area, and I slowly make my way through to the secret boss. Thankfully, this boss is super easy, even if they gave him way too much health. He starts off as whatever the hell this thing is, and with only a few telegraphed attacks, you don't really need to worry about anything. You can only hit his head, but that doesn't really make the phase any harder. Then he becomes... and he flies around. This is the hardest phase since it requires me to move forwards and backwards, having to dodge the bones he drops from his... more bones. It sucks since, well, you have to backflip to move left.
Oh my.
After beating him for real, I get sent to Stage 3 ult. The mini-boss causes me a lot more trouble than usual. Thankfully, he still can be manipulated pretty easily. There's nothing in the way from you saving Terra, so that's no problem. But what is a problem is this next area. I make it through the room as usual until I find another one of those goddamn left doors. This time, however, I thought I could use Maria's slide ability to make it through the door, as after all, you don't have to hit the D-pad to go through a door. Unlike Richter, Maria has no innate way of moving left without facing right. I end up almost soft-locking myself trying to get the food, which was fun. I also don't realize that in this bottom room an enemy spawns from a candle, which is crap. Anyway, this top area is gonna be a bit of a struggle to get to the door in the back, that is. Now, if you don't know, Maria has the ability to slide forwards by clicking down and jump at the same time. Still, that doesn't help me pass gaps in the floor. I'm gonna have to rely on damage boosting to get through those. Here's what I have to get through. The up arrows signify where I know for sure damage boosting will be required. A lot has to go right for this to work. It was pretty easy getting over the first gap. Note that I can't kill the bone pillars, since they're the only things that can consistently hit me. After quite a multitude of tries, I reached this attempt. I realized that I'm gonna have to damage boost off this spike to get through, which I had already accidentally hit down. I slide in and turns out there's an exit I didn't even know about. I make my preparations for the boss fight. While I'm doing so, I'm trying to- No! Stop!
What the hell am I doing?
Well, I forget you can't push left. I guess I'm still used to my Portrait of Ruin challenge. I try again as Richter and actually die to the Together, which is an unfortunate first. And second, oh my god. Anyway, Together is pretty straightforward. You'll want the axe sub-weapon for this fight. You'll also want to stay underneath the platforms when Together is above them, so that the spew of fire doesn't reach you. Use the axe sub-weapon whenever you can, as just spamming it can get you through this fight. The reason Together is so easy is because he has so little health. The rock levitation move is simple, and note that the rocks can't hit you until they start circling around him. Break them before you can use the move, as that negates the problem. You can time your whip to break all the rocks that he shoots at you just by spamming the move. Generally, you're able to just duck his triple laser attack, but even if you can't, if that's a move you'll just want to eat, you can. And like I said, this boss has very little health. It took me a solid 30 minutes to save Iris in Stage 4 ult. You have to whip both frog statues in this area in order to break a bridge where the hostage is held. The problem is that if a skeleton spawns behind me while I'm going back, there isn't much I can do apart from using the item crash for the axe, something I can only use once. If two skeletons spawn behind me, I'm sort of screwed since it's very difficult to get past them. Even if I got to the stairs below, I'd have to deal with some enemies nearby it. I can't really hit most of them, so I'm forced to just eat the damage, making the next section much more difficult. I made it to Iris, which took much longer than it should have, and after getting teleported out of the room, I decided to go back in. I was thinking about how much nicer this was compared to the ditch they threw Terra in. What made her get such superior treatment? Like, Iris got a full house, whereas Terra is stuck in a grotto dealing with stalactites. And then, something hit me. I'm soft-locked and I'm gonna have to save Iris again. Well, I made it back. No going back inside this time. It looks like I just have enough space to turn around and back. Nope, never mind. It was just so generous with how far you can be to, like, open it. I was worried about how you could actually get out of this situation. I thought about just letting the merman kill me, but you can actually just backflip onto this door up here. So, all is well. We can continue through the level. Stage 5 ult is locked until we beat the game, so we're forced to go through the path towards the normal Stage 5, meaning I have no safety stage to fall back on if things go awry. Dullahan is just about as easy as he was in the Portrait of Ruin challenge. The trick is, when in doubt, jump on the platform. And don't miss, that isn't good. You're pretty much gonna have to hit his head away from you when it attacks you, since you can't jump it, as when it's behind you, there's nothing you can do. I recommend using Hydro Storm during this fight, as you can't really avoid the rocks he drops consistently in any other way. He has low health, so he'll go down fast. Let me take you through what I have to do here. After making it onto the first platform, I'm gonna have to pass a small gap. I'm then gonna have to pass an even higher gap past that one. I then have to fall down onto a lower platform with 2 skeleton flails. I then have to pass one final gap to make it onto the safe platform. I tell you this since at the end of the safe platform, there's a door on the left, meaning I'm gonna have to make it through as Maria. I managed to get Maria onto the first platform. Sadly, the skeleton flail hits me, and I already don't have enough health to make it across. After all, Maria has less health than Richter does. I get hit onto the next platform, and then realize how difficult it will be to damage boost up there. I eventually realized something rather interesting. You're actually able to make this first gap with just a slide and a well-timed double jump. This is great, since then I'll probably have enough time to kill the skeleton flail before he hits me. After an embarrassingly long time, I managed to get this. I made it up to the platform, and I tried to focus, breathe in, and then I was myself. Soon later, I managed to get back on the platform, and go farther, only to be killed by a skeleton flail of all things. After 35 minutes, according to the footage, I make it back up. Eventually, I make it all the way across, with 2 lives remaining as well. It came to my attention that I still needed to beat the whole stage. Sadly, I'm pretty low on health at the moment, and despite my best efforts, I can't get any health items. I decide to struggle onwards. I make it into the Spectre's room, about to lose my mind. I use the Genbu item crash and luckily kill almost all the weapons, just not the main one. That was close. After defeating the skeleton archers, I enter a complete loss for the upcoming painting room. I instinctively use a sub-weapon. Genbu is the one sub-weapon that can't do damage when inputting up an attack. I cower in fear, and then, just by telling myself to relax, all my problems go away. I slowly work through the ship. The fleet riders are surprisingly easy to avoid, yet I still notice how many damage boosts I have to get through. Even if I was able to have jumped on time, I would need to be hit 2 more times to make it past this obstacle. I can't even make it here as Richter, so really there is nothing I can do. Unfortunately, here's where we have to press left. After one very long left press, I make it into the former room before the boss. Maria makes the death fight arbitrary at best. The birds are so strong and last for so long that you don't really need to think about anything. I get a little reckless the second time around, but I make it through, and this time I collect the orb. Stage 6 is like a breath of fresh air. All the bosses are pretty simple. The bat is a joke in this boss rush. You don't press left normally in this fight, just duck and whip on the top left platform and he'll go down. Just backflip in the rare occasions he gets too close. Medusa is also pretty easy. She has 3 attacks, and she generally uses them all in the same order. You can simply duck when she crosses her arms to dodge her freeze beam attack. When she stops moving, just backflip to avoid her tail. The most difficult move is when she leans forward. Stay relatively far back when she starts the move, and whip the middle circle. Then, you should backflip and duck to whip the bottom loop second, since Medusa will sometimes use her laser attack, and you won't be able to avoid it if you had jumped to whip the top loop. Then, you'll have to quickly stand up and whip the top loop in order to avoid damage. If you get too close to her, Medusa will sometimes try to jump behind you. The mummy is a difficult one. Start the fight by ducking and whipping to avoid the mummy's bandage attack. He'll then summon these blocks which you have to jump over. What I think you're supposed to do is jump down from these blocks fast enough to whip the flying bandages before they overrun the battlefield. I have never gotten the timing down right, so I just use the Bible sub-weapon instead. Repeat and he'll go down too. Frankenstein is really easy. I feel like the fight was made with the backflip in mind, so nothing really changes here for this fight. When he jumps, rocks will start falling from the ceiling. They're pretty easy to avoid normally, but since you can't walk left, certain possible rock combinations will be impossible to avoid. You'll want to use the Bible sub-weapon to make things more consistent. Both of his other attacks can be avoided with a simple backflip. Shaft is absurd. The problem is that he teleports from the front and back of the chamber. Note that you get a checkpoint at Shaft, so you can get the cross sub-weapon in replacement to the Bible. After all, the cross uses less hearts per use in comparison, so you'll get more hits in. Use the cross to hit Shaft back on the side you want him to be at. You don't actually have to hit him to make a move. You just have to get near the man, so you can just bait him to move back to the right of the map in order to actually beat him. The only attack I can't figure out how to dodge is his rolling element attack, which is why I'm thankful his other moves take a lot of time to rotate between. Whip away Shaft on fire if you can, and stay in the middle of Shaft on lightning to avoid it. Starting off stage 7, we play exactly how you're supposed to. Backflipping and whipping the bats that come close. The only problem is that I can't enter the door at the end. The thing is that there are blocks stopping Maria from using her sliding technique, as well as no one to damage boost off of, meaning here, once again, we are forced to turn left. After getting into the door, I climb up the steps and open the secret door with the key to Annette's chamber. Sadly, I won't be able to leave, so I guess Annette won't be saved. In order to not push left up here, I'm forced to damage boost off at least 3 water ghosts. As there are no stairs in this room, I can't face left to trigger the door entry, so we will have to make a 3rd left press. Sadly, in the next room, I can't make it up this area facing left at all, so I'm gonna have to make my 4th left press in the playthrough. I at first thought the top path would have been easier, backflipping over the Sword Lords, then doing the same with the Skeleton Weretiger. But no, in reality the victory armors are much more manipulatable than I thought they were. Getting past the final Sword Lord was something that troubled me. I was able to use the stairs to get over and around the other two, taking advantage of their AI. Thankfully, when you get hit by a Sword Lord, you get launched, so I used 1 victory armor to get past the last. After dealing with a few more enemies, I reached the pendulums. They're pretty easy to get across, but right at the end, I'm gonna have to make a 5th left press. Then, not even a room later, I have to make a 6th left press to get into the boss chamber. It's time for the boss, but before that, I'd like to mention that no, Maria would require more left presses than Richter, just because of this clock room and the swinging pendulum room alone. Let's talk about the Shaft rematch. No more baiting Shaft, you'll have to hit him to make him flip sides. That meant I had to use the cross, as I couldn't find a Bible anywhere across the stage, and there is no way I wanted to take enough time to get through this whole stage on a single life, using the Bible from the previous stage. All his attacks are pretty easy to dodge, save one. And once you get used to the bat speeds and patterns, backflipping over the bats is a real no-problem situation. The one problem is this attack. I'm using Rewind, and I'm struggling to avoid this move. What you have to do is walk, wait a second while under him, and then move at the right timing. The problem is that sometimes I won't be able to move forwards since Shaft is in the way. And that would mean I need to get closer to the Wyvern, because the only other option is backflipping, making it a pain in the ass to avoid. To hit Shaft when he's behind you, you'll want to throw the cross to the other Y-axis that the ghost can be located at, instead of where he is. With enough effort, he goes down just like the rest.
Our Father which art in heaven.
Dracula's a joke. You can jump or backflip his fireballs when he's behind you, and you can whip him and his fireballs when he's ahead of you. Dracula's second phase is a bit more difficult. With Hydrostorm though, winning the fight is basically a given. While you may be wondering how it's possible to beat him when getting under him going left would be a precise and difficult task, you only have to make it under him once to beat him, if you do damage fast enough, while damage boosting every other time. You're actually able to make it under him with a single backflip from close range, meaning I'm able to get my one damageless go under, and I completed the game. So, is it possible to beat Castlevania Rondo of Blood without pressing left? It would take 6 whole left presses to beat the game. It was more or less what I was expecting, although maybe more spread out instead of racked up all at the end. The bonus stage, 5-alt, is not accessible while not pressing left, as you'd have to be able to navigate through the menus to go back to 4-alt in the first place. Anyway, if anyone, or of the 4 of you watching these, have any suggestions on what I should do next, please let me know in the comments. Now I ask, did you find it? Anyway, thank you so much to anyone who made it this far. Please consider liking and subscribing, and I hope you survive to suffer another night dealing with the sacrifice.